Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film.
A fool and his money will part. We do this. So
how you doing? Happy birthday, nephew.
That's simple. A lot of like to spend their money. We love to spend our money. We can't take none of this. None. Ain't no armored trucks pulling up at no funerals. Simple. So you better enjoy this.
Lil Meech just flipped the whole hip-hop world upside down. He's straight up accusing Rick Ross of running off with a wild $120 million that was supposed to be tied to Big Meech. And now the internet is on fire.
The tickets right now.
I'm back.
A quick Google search for you says that your net worth is $20 million.
I know I got more money than that. I might go 70 days without looking at my exact total amount of my money because it gives me anxiety, keep looking at numbers all day. It's like when you put money in stocks, the stock trader told me, say, put a lot of money in stock, don't keep looking at that. It'll drive you crazy.
What started as low-key chatter on social media has exploded into a full-blown showdown. BMF versus Rick Ross. No peace talks, no quiet moves, just tension everywhere. The streets are loud about this one. Timelines are packed, blogs are moving fast, and fans are picking sides like it's a championship game. Everybody keeps asking the same thing. Did Rick Ross really finesse one of the most respected figures in street history for fame and a fat payday? That's the question hanging in the air. And then it gets deeper. Some people are saying this was all lined up from the jump. 50 Cent, Rick Ross, Big Meech, Freeway Ricky, power plays behind the scenes, ownership rights, media deals. It's messy.
Take a picture with Rick Ross. Put your back against the wall and just slide down. Lead to February 13th, the Big Meech home benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. This gonna be special.
Epic.
When Big Meech came home last October, it looked like the ultimate comeback story. The culture was ready. Folks believed the legend was about to rebuild the empire the smart way. Films, business ventures, legacy moves, generational wealth. But now, everything feels shaky, and the spotlight just got a whole lot hotter. Then Ross came through flashing big promises, talking about a massive $120 million film deal like it was already signed and sealed.
Right now, my shoulder broke, but we still getting to the money. We still count paper. This ain't a pump and dump, baby.
Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent be owning the rights to be.
He painted this huge Hollywood vision saying Big Meech's life was about to turn into a blockbuster legacy. Movie contracts, luxury brand partnerships, a worldwide BMF franchise. It sounded legendary, like the ultimate glow-up story ready for the big screen. But once the smoke cleared, people started whispering that none of it was solid. No finished movie, no locked-in deal, no real paperwork floating around, just hype stacked on hype. The streets began saying it was all smoke and mirrors, a shiny pitch with nothing concrete behind it. Insiders claim Ross moved smooth with it, polished words, big industry names, sweet promises that felt real in the moment. Big Meech may have seen loyalty, but others started calling it strategy, not friendship, strategy. And in this game, strategy can look a lot like manipulation. While Ross kept leveling up, BMF's name got caught in confusion. One street source even said people felt for Lil Meech but pointed fingers at the veterans around him. They should have known better, is what folks were saying, because this wasn't about brotherhood. This was business, and business can get cold fast. Meanwhile, 50 Cent wasn't sitting back. He built the BMF brand into a television powerhouse, funded the series, paid for Lil Meech's acting training, and gave him a serious platform. When it came to Meech, fans were getting BMF tattoos, treating it like culture history.
Ross taking shit a couple weeks ago about a girl that you're not even with no more.
We wearing Travis Scotts all week.
What is it with you and Ross that's just been going on for so long?
Nothing else works for him outside of mentioning me. When things get bad, you mention me. It gets covered further. I get covered across the board. They get covered on the hip hop blogs. It is what it is. And you watch because I have nothing else to say. You just see it happen periodically as it goes. You know, you see that big white elephant, that property he lives at? It costs more than the nightclubs. He's in the nightclubs. What kind of rich cut his own grass? Why you out there cutting your own grass? You trying to save money, nigga? You don't want to pay for the lawn to get cut, huh?
Ain't nothing wrong with cutting your grass.
So when Lil Meech started moving close with Ross instead of the man who helped launch his acting career, it raised eyebrows heavy. That quiet tension behind the scenes, it turned loud real quick, and that's when the gloves officially came off. 50 went straight into attack mode on social media, doing what he does best, trolling with sharp aim and zero hesitation. He cracked jokes about Ross sending Wingstop wings to Big Meech's prison address, and people laughed, but there was something serious under that humor. This wasn't just jokes for clicks, it was a message. In 50's eyes, Ross wasn't building the BMF legacy, he was feeding off it, not adding bricks to the foundation, just standing on what was already built. And that's where things turned personal real fast. Then 50 started dropping details that caught fans off guard.
Yes, Charleston White is correct. I'm a rapper, not a dealer. Be sure to catch my new show, 50 Cent, 50 Ways to...
He claimed Lil Meech had been pulling up to set intoxicated, getting sick during training, losing focus when it was time to work. He even joked about finding whippets in Meech's truck, saying he had to Google what they were. People laughed, but the undertone was heavy. 50 was painting a picture of chaos behind the scenes. Meanwhile, Lil Meech kept popping out with Ross, smiling for cameras, hitting clubs, posing like nothing was wrong. But the streets, they weren't buying the image anymore.
Biggest boss Ricky Rose just got word. Meech concert not happening tonight, but 305 is going down at the office. Meet us there. Bam!
Folks started calling the alliance forced, built on ego and flashy talk instead of real structure. It didn't take long for the energy to shift. Fans who once cheered started side-eyeing. Even Tony Yayo spoke up, reminding people that 50 had backed Lil Meech from day one. No gimmicks, no fake handshakes, just real support when it mattered.
When that song came out, that's probably like the hottest I ever seen a rapper. People was confronting Ross everywhere, 100 deep, with Larry Hoover Jr. 100 deep to confront Ross about saying the old man name in the song. Even some of the BMF guys for saying he think he Big Meech. When it come to Meech, Meech had guys getting BMF tats on their face in the pen.
Once Lil Meech made his choice, the pressure got real. Opportunities slowed. The buzz cooled off. You could feel the tension rising. Then Michael Rainey Jr., known to fans as Tariq from Power, stepped in with a viral comment that shook everything up. He basically said he didn't feel sorry for Lil Meech or Big Meech because grown men should have seen the signs. That clip spread like wildfire.
I'm Big Meech, entrepreneur here at 5 Star Smiles to make sure that my smile is right forever. First off, image is everything to me, you know, so the first thing people notice is the smile. So knowing that I was gonna be doing probably interviews and stuff like that and be in the limelight, I wanted to make sure that was the first thing I had did. And that's the thing, like a lot of people in the prison, they neglect our...
Take a picture with Rick Ross. You like a hoe, nigga. Put your back against the wall and just slide down.
And while the internet was going crazy, Ross kept promoting shows and calling out tour dates like nothing was wrong, business as usual, at least on the surface. The second 50 caught wind of that viral clip, he snapped right back into action. He doubled down behind Michael Rainey Jr.'s words and basically said this whole situation exposed weak loyalty and messy decision-making. No sugarcoating, no soft tone, just straight pressure. The message couldn't have been clearer. In 50's view, Lil Meech picked clout over loyalty, and Ross was once again attaching himself to another man's legacy to stay hot.
Yeah. So look, I do want to do a BMF film because you've been entertained by a lackluster, small budget series. Now it's time to do a big budget film. Which director? Shout out to my homie F. Gary Gray, Antoine Foucault, what's up? Tarantino. It's a lot of legends. This is gonna be big, I can feel it. I'm just talking.
That accusation hit hard because people started looking at patterns. Some insiders began bringing up Ross's past moves, claiming this wasn't new behavior. They said he had a reputation for distancing himself when things got messy. Stories even resurfaced about situations overseas where members of his circle were left to deal with problems while loyalty was being tested. Folks described it as cold, calculated, and very strategic. Right on schedule, Ross tried to switch the narrative again. He popped out announcing a massive BMF movie project, claiming it would outshine 50's TV series. He started name-dropping big figures like FG Gary Gay and Tarantino, making it sound like Hollywood royalty was lining up. But online, a lot of people called it straight cap. They felt it was just another loud headline with no solid foundation behind it. At that point, the energy shifted. The hip-hop world started side-eyeing everything Ross said. Then Whack 100 jumped in and turned the heat all the way up.
I'm seeing a lot of about the Big Meech concert getting canceled. What I'm not seeing is anybody blaming Rick Ross for this. Nobody is saying, yo, Rick Ross.
It was just Ross doing this.
February 13th, the Big Meech benefit concert. It's gonna be iconic. Too many names to list, but let me salute some of the legends. Lil Baby, Boss Man D-Lo, 21 Savage, Sexy Red, Ricky Rose. Now, this the first time it's ever been done. Me performing BMF with the icon himself. It's gonna be special.
Epic.
Get your tickets right now.
I'm back.
He labeled Ross the real villain in this saga and didn't hold back. According to Whack, Ross wasn't moving out of loyalty to Big Meech. He was using the BMF name to throw subtle shots at 50 Cent. He even said if Ross truly respected Meech, the business would have been handled quietly, without cameras, flexing, and viral rollouts. Instead, it felt like a full-blown circus, and everybody was watching. It started to feel like a one-man circus, the kind that'll drive you crazy if you watch too long. Every interview, every post, every flashy announcement somehow circled back to Ross himself. The BMF legacy was supposed to be the focus, but instead it looked like a solo promo run. The energy shifted from honoring history to boosting a personal spotlight, and people caught on quick. Big Meech's name was being showcased everywhere, almost like a trophy in a victory lap. Photos, captions, bold statements, all designed to keep the buzz alive. And when you really stepped back and looked at it, the pattern spoke loud without saying much. The attention always landed in the same place. Some folks online started revisiting old connections and power plays, mentioning names like 50 Cent, Big Meech, and Freeway Ricky. They questioned who really owned what, who controlled the rights, and who benefited the most from the brand. Conversations about ownership and long-term strategy began trending heavy. It wasn't just gossip anymore, it was business talk. Critics argued Ross wasn't moving for the culture, he was moving for visibility. Big promises about million-dollar productions and massive empires were being thrown around. But the only brand that seemed to be consistently expanding was his own. That raised eyebrows fast. Behind the scenes, tension reportedly grew between Big Meech and 50 Cent, the same 50 who built the BMF television franchise and gave the story a whole new generation of fans.
Think about it. It was all part of the plan. 50 Cent and Rick Ross, they set up Big Meech. Freeway Ricky, Rick Ross, and now you got 50 Cent, he owning the rights to BMF.
Once everything cooled down, what remained were bold headlines and unanswered questions. Then Ross went online flexing about buying up masters, even tossing jabs at 50 Cent by name, claiming he could purchase his catalog whenever he felt like it. He also threw subtle shade toward Lil Meech, suggesting 50 had to move him out of Detroit just to sharpen his acting skills. It came off slick, almost like a public power move meant to embarrass both of them. And at that point, it was clear, this wasn't just rivalry anymore. It was ego, strategy, and image all colliding in real time. At the end of the day, a lot of people felt it just showed Ross wanted to be the loudest voice in every room. When the buzz was strong, he was front and center, but when the spotlight started to dim, things shifted real quick. Once the attention cooled off, he reportedly distanced himself from Meech's circle completely. When pressure showed up, he stepped back. That's when the whispers got louder. Insiders began claiming Ross had influence behind Lil Meech's canceled Welcome Home benefit concert, a show fans first blamed on 50 Cent. But sources close to the situation pushed a different story. They said Ross didn't want Meech regaining momentum. According to them, keeping Meech paused meant keeping control of the online narrative. If that's true, that's cold strategy.
This is the gentleman's side of Meech, right?
Yep.
The plane lands Friday night. It's like 12 midnight. Alex calls me. He's like, yo, Chris, Meech needs the biggest suite in Cancun. I'm like, I ain't no travel agent. He's like, no. When I landed, they told me that you got the presidential suite at the Coral Beach. I'm like, are you crazy? Like, I love Meech, but I'm not giving him my room. I'm like, yo, man, I'm not giving him my room. He's like, he'll give you $60,000 right now. I was paying $3,000 a night. He had that Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. But here's the gentleman's side of Meech. I switched to another suite. I get a phone call. I'm like, yo, what's up? Who's this? He's like, yo, is this Chris Latimer? I'm like, yeah. He's like, yo, we up in the presidential suite. I got some messages from you. I'm like, all right, cool, man. Tell me what they are. And I'm like, yo, brother, man, thanks a lot, man. Yo, tell Meech, good looking out, man. He's like, Chris, it is Meech.
That's important because a lot of people don't understand. To get to the top, you have to pay attention to every small detail. Okay. And knowing me calling him hear my voice, he knows the kind of man that I am.
Turning someone's comeback moment into a marketing rollout is a risky play. People began saying Meech's name was being used for engagement, for headlines, for digital traction. And once that traction slowed down, so did the connection. That's when the word betrayal started getting thrown around heavy. Lil Meech tried to clap back online, calling 50 Cent an internet gangster and accusing him of chasing attention through social media. But fans weren't convinced. Many said it looked like damage control, like he was trying to patch up a situation that had already spun out of control. The comments section was ruthless. Soon, memes flooded timelines. The internet turned the drama into punchlines, painting Lil Meech as a young star caught in a power game bigger than him. It was tough to watch, but it showed how quickly public opinion flips when loyalty and money collide. Then people started revisiting Ross's history. Critics pointed out that whenever he aligns himself with already established names, drama tends to follow. Deals fall apart, tension builds, partnerships fade. The pattern became hard to ignore. Even conversations about Maybach Music Group resurfaced. Artists like Meek Mill, Wale, and Gunplay once proudly represented that banner. But over time, stories of financial disputes, paperwork confusion, and creative frustration began circulating. Whether every claim holds weight or not, the narrative kept stacking, and the spotlight stayed hot. To a lot of critics, it started looking like Ross played the supportive role in public while making calculated moves behind the curtain. Smiles for the cameras, power plays in private. That's the image people began describing. Ego over teamwork, control over real collaboration. And once that perception settled in, it was hard to shake. Over time, folks said the pattern became obvious. Ross knew how to position himself on the chessboard, stepping forward at just the right moment, keeping his name tied to whatever carried weight. If the mission was truly about honoring BMF, some argue it could have been handled quietly with respect and structure. But instead, it all played out loud online, and everybody knew 50 Cent was going to respond. This wasn't just contracts and credits, it was pride, it was power. From 50's side, supporters say he was guarding something he built brick by brick, a television franchise that turned street history into primetime success. And when Ross started making noise around it, it felt like he was poking the bear just to spark headlines. Even Meek Mill, once seen as Ross's closest ally under the Maybach Music banner, eventually carved his own lane. Fans speculated that MMG wasn't built for shared spotlight. The center stage always circled back to one name, Rick Ross. Now critics claim the same blueprint played out with Big Meech and Lil Meech. That massive $120 million vision that sounded life-changing, it faded into what many call a ghost deal. No finished empire, no visible rollout. Meanwhile, Ross kept trending, doing interviews, stacking visibility. Observers began connecting dots. When Ross's buzz slows, he aligns with someone who already carries credibility. From Drake during the MMG era to Meek Mill to invoking Larry Hoover's name, and now Big Meech. That's the narrative gaining traction. At the same time, 50 Cent kept expanding his universe. Through series like Power, Raising Kanan, and BMF, he turned real-life stories into major productions. Pain into profit, history into scripted legacy, and business into long-term empire moves. That's what people keep saying is the real difference. One man builds from the ground up, the other borrows heat and flips it for shine. And the streets, they're watching closely. Fans started putting it plain and simple. Ross is playing checkers while 50 is playing chess. One is planning 10 steps ahead, building long-term plays. The other seems locked in on viral waves and quick headlines. Behind all the noise and flashy posts, critics argue the pattern feels too clear to ignore. Every time Rick Ross steps into somebody else's lane, that situation somehow ends up messy, confusing, or unfinished, while he walks off camera ready, smiling like nothing happened. That perception has been gaining traction fast. At this stage, observers say the blueprint looks familiar. Align with a respected name, amplify it, attach your brand to it, then pivot once the spotlight shifts. People are starting to question how many more partnerships will follow the same arc before folks catch on. Because in this version of the story, loyalty fades, but clout sticks around. And when you rewind the timeline, critics say this didn't begin with Big Meech. It traces all the way back to the name itself. The rapper Rick Ross built his stage identity around the name of the real Freeway Rick Ross, a former drug kingpin whose story was already known. That decision alone sparked controversy from day one. The real Rick Ross even filed a lawsuit in an attempt to reclaim his name, challenging the use of his identity. But the rapper kept pushing forward, turning the persona into a massive brand. Over time, the stage name grew larger than the original dispute, and the image became cemented in hip-hop culture. To critics, that's the recurring theme, taking real-life narratives and transforming them into larger-than-life branding. Supporters may call it smart marketing, detractors call it a pattern. Either way, the conversation isn't slowing down and the spotlight isn't dimming anytime soon. Critics say the pattern didn't stop there. Ross also mentioned Larry Hoover's name in songs, interviews, and visuals, tying himself to another powerful street legacy. To some fans, it felt like he was tapping into respected names to amplify his own spotlight. Every association came with headlines, and every headline pushed his brand higher. Now people argue it's the same script with Big Meech, another legacy woven into the Rick Ross storyline, but this time the audience is sharper. Social media breaks everything down in real time. Supporters and critics alike are analyzing every move, every announcement, every photo op. They're saying real struggles turned into content, real loyalty flipped into promotional moments. That perception is sticking. While Ross continues to trend and dominate attention cycles, critics claim the people connected to him often walk away with something missing. Whether it's momentum, clarity, or public respect, that narrative has gained traction online and it's fueling nonstop debate. At the same time, 50 Cent's brand keeps expanding. Where Ross is seen as loud and headline-driven, 50 is viewed by supporters as strategic and long-term focused. He's stacking television projects, producing hit series, and turning real-life stories into profitable franchises. Instead of chasing validation, he's building infrastructure. That's how fans frame it. Years ago, 50 publicly labeled Ross as fake, questioning his authenticity. Now some fans are revisiting those old clips, saying the warnings look different in hindsight. Screenshots, interviews, past statements, they're all resurfacing in the conversation. One viral comment summed up the frustration bluntly, calling Ross a fraud and accusing him of damaging a legacy for clout. That statement spread fast because it captured what many critics were already thinking. When observers line everything up, from MMG tensions to street affiliations to the heavily promoted BMF movie talk with names like Tarantino and Antoine Fuqua, they see a familiar pattern. Big promises, big rollouts, big headlines, and then silence when the dust settles. Whether supporters call it marketing genius or critics call it calculated borrowing, one thing is clear. The culture is watching closer than ever, and every move is being dissected in real time.